3/6 synthetic division. When working with synthetic division, you want to take that binomial as being divided by the polynomial and get it to where x is equal to the number. So like if we look at example A, we have x to the 4th power minus 2x cubed plus 13x minus 6 divided by x plus 2. We're going to set that x plus 2 equal to 0 and solve for x. So x plus 2 is equal to 0. We're going to move the 2 over by subtracting it and get that x is equal to negative 2. So that negative 2 is what's going to go on the outside of our synthetic division. From here, we draw like a little box around it that surrounds it to be on the outside. You're going to take the coefficients to each term. Remember, when you're doing division, you want to represent each exponent from greatest to least. So if we look here, we have x to the 4th. The coefficient to that is 1. With the negative 2x cubed, the coefficient to that is negative 2. We don't have an x squared, so that's going to be a 0. And then we have an x, which is a 13. And then we have a constant, which is a negative 6. If you realize those signs stay with those terms. From here, we'll draw a line. We're going to drop our first term, which is the 1. We're going to multiply the 1 times the negative 2. That's going to give us a negative 2. It gets put underneath the next term. Then you combine those terms. A negative 2 minus 2 gives us a negative 4. From there, the negative 4 gets multiplied by the negative 2, which gives us a positive 8. And that's going to be added or subtracted with that 0. It's a positive, so 8 plus 0 is 8. From there, 8 times negative 2 is 16. So we're going to put that underneath the 13 and add the 2. This is going to give us 29. Oh, we're looking at negatives. So this 16 is going to be a negative 16. Well, then we subtract these, we get negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 2 is a positive 6. When we combine those terms, we get a 0. So we want to start with those variables and those coefficients. The first one is going to be 1 less than what your exponent is. That's first in your polynomial. So if it's the 4th, it's going to be x cubed, then x squared, x, your constant, and then your remainder. So the 1 goes with the x cubed, the negative 4 goes with the x squared, the 8 goes with the x, it's positive, so it gets the plus sign in front of it. That negative 3 is your constant, and then you have a remainder of 0, so you don't need that one. So our answer is just x cubed minus 4x squared plus 8x minus 3. If we look at our next example, we have example B, which is 6x cubed plus 7x squared plus x plus 1 divided by 2x plus 3. So again, that 2x plus 3, we're going to solve for x. 2x plus 3 is equal to 0. Subtract the 3 from both sides. We get 2x is equal to negative 3. Then divide each side by 2 to get that x is equal to negative 3 over 2. That negative 3 over 2 is going to go inside our little box on the outside. And then our coefficients are 6, 7, 1, and then our constant is 1. If you realize we have x to the 3rd, x squared, x, and our constant, so we're good. We are going to bring down that first term, which is that 6. Then we are going to multiply the 6 times the negative 3 over 2. The 6 is going to turn into a 3. Then negative 3 times 3 is a negative 9. Subtract those two because the sign in front of the 9 tells us to subtract. If it was a positive, we would just add them. 7 minus 9 is negative 2. Multiply the negative 2 times the negative 3 over 2. Those 2's are going to cancel. A negative times a negative is a positive, so we just have the 3. Now these both are positive, so we're going to add them. 1 plus 3 is 4. Then we take the 4, multiply it by the negative 3 over 2. It's going to be a negative. The 2 is going to turn into a 1. The 4 will turn into a 2. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. So then from there, the 1 minus 6 is negative 5. We started with an x cubed, so 1 less than that. 1 less than that is going to give us an x squared. So this is going to be x squared. This is going to be x. This will be our constant, and this will be our remainder. So our solution here is going to be 6x squared minus 2x plus 4 minus 5, or plus negative 5 over, what did we divide by? The 2x plus 3. So same concept that we worked with long division, except now that remainder is just going over what we're dividing by before we solve for the variable. For C, we have x squared plus 5x minus 28 divided by x minus 3. So the x minus 3, set it equal to 0, move the 3 over, x is 3. So 3 is going to go on the outside, and then our coefficients are 1, 5, and then the constant is negative 28. So that 1 we would drop down. The 1 times 3 is going to give us 3. And then we have the 5 plus 3, because they're both positive, gives us 8. So 8 plus 3 is 24. When we combine those like terms, the negative 28 plus 24 is negative 4. So that x is going to go with the 1, the constant is the 8, and the remainder is the negative 4. So our answer for this one is x plus 8 plus negative 4 over, what did we divide by? X minus 3. If we look at D, we have 3x cubed plus 4x squared plus 10. We're missing an x in there, so we're going to put a plus 0x, and then we have x minus 2, so that x minus 2 will solve for x. Add the 2 to both sides. We get x is equal to 2, so 2 goes on the outside. Our coefficients are 3, 4, 0, because we're missing the x, and our constant is 10. Bring the 3 down. You have 3 times 2, which is 6. 4 plus 6 is 10. 10 times 2 is 20. 20 plus 0 is 20. And then 20 times 2 is 40. Add that with a 10, we get 50. So we have 3, 10, 20, and 50. So in our polynomial, we started with x to the third power. So this is going to be x squared, x constant, remainder. So it's going to give us 3x squared plus 10x plus 20 plus 50 over, what did we divide by? X minus 2. For E, we have 2x squared plus 7x plus 9 divided by x minus 2. So again, we're going to do the x minus 2 is equal to 0. Move the 2 over by adding it to both sides. X is equal to 2. 2 is going to go on the outside. We have a 2, a 1, and a constant for our variables with our coefficients, or with our exponents. So we're going to keep our coefficients 2, 7, constant is 9. 2 gets dropped down. So now multiply the 2 times 2, that's 4. Add that with the 7. We have 4 plus 7 is 11. Multiply that with the 2, that's 22. 22 plus 9 is 31. So our x goes with the 2, because we started with an x squared, so minus 1 is going to give us an x. So our x is here. Then we have a plus 11 plus 31 over, what do we divide by? X minus 2. So it's going to be 2x plus 11 plus 31 over x minus 2. For example F, we have x to the fourth power minus 2x cubed plus 3x plus 1 divided by x minus 3. So if we solve for x, we set the x minus 3 equal to 0, move the 3 over. We get x is equal to 3. That's what's going on the outside of our box. Look at your exponents. You have a 4, a 3. You're missing that 2. So you're going to put in plus 0x squared. Then you have an x, then you have a constant. So our coefficients are 1, negative 2, 0, 3, and then our constant is 1. The 1 gets dropped down. 1 times 3 is 3. Negative 2 plus 3 is a 1. 1 times 3 again is 3. Add that with the 0, you're with 3. And 3 times 3 is 9. With the 3, that's going to give us a 12. And 12 times 3 is 36. Add that with the 1, that's 37. So we started with x to the fourth. Subtract 1 to that. It's going to be an x cubed, an x squared, an x, a constant, and then our remainder. So we're going to have x cubed plus x squared plus 3x plus 12 plus 37 over, we divided by x minus 3, so it's 37 over x minus 3. For example G, we have x squared minus 3x minus 18. We have a 2, we have a 1, we have a constant, we're good there. Then we have an x minus 6, so that x minus 6 is equal to 0. Move the 6 over, so x is equal to 6. 6 will go on the outside of our box. We're going to have 1, negative 3, and negative 18 for our coefficients and our constant. We're going to bring down that 1. 1 times 6 is 6. Add that with the negative 3. We're left with a positive 3. 3 times 6 is 18. Add that with the negative 18. We're left with 0. So what did we start off with our exponent? A 2. 2 minus 1 is 1x. So we're going to have this be an x. This is going to be our constant, and we have a remainder of 0, which means we don't have a remainder. So it's just going to be x plus 3. Look at our next set of examples. We're using synthetic substitution to evaluate. So for this one, we're doing the same exact thing, but this tells us what x is equal to. So for A, we have p of x is equal to x cubed minus 4x squared plus 3x minus 5. We're seeing if 4 goes into it evenly. So the 4 is going to go on the outside. We have a 3, we have a 2, we have a 1, then we have a constant, so we're good. Their coefficients are 1, negative 4, positive 3, and negative 5. So from here, you bring down that 1. 1 times 4 is 4. The negative 4 times the 4 is, the negative 4 plus the 4 is 0. 0 times 4 is 0. The 3 plus 0 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12. Negative 5 plus 12 is 7. Because you have that 7 as your remainder, that p of 4, because you plug the 4 in, is going to be 7. So we do the same thing for B. We have p of x is equal to x cubed plus 3x squared plus 4. We're missing an x, so that would be a plus 0x, and we have that x is equal to negative 3. So negative 3 goes on the outside. Then we're going to have a 1, a 3, a 0, a 4. So bring down the 1. 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. 3 minus 3 is 0. 0 times negative 3 is 0. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 times negative 3 is 0. The 4 brings down. So we have 4 as our remainder. That would be what p of negative 3 is equal to. For C, we have 4x to the 4th power plus 2x cubed plus 3x plus 4 for x is equal to negative 1/2. So where that negative 1/2 is going to go on the outside. Then we have a 4, a 2. We're missing x squared, so that's 0x squared. Then we have a 3 for x, and then a 4 is our constant. We're going to bring down that 4. 4 times negative 1/2 is negative 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. 0 minus 1/2 is 0. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 times the negative 1/2 is 0. 3 plus 0 is 3. 3 times negative 1/2 is negative 3 over 2. So when we add these, you have to turn that 4 into an equivalent fraction with 2 as the denominator. So 4 over 2 becomes, or 4 over 1 becomes 8 over 2. If we subtract 3 over 2 from that, we're left with 5 over 2. So our remainder is our solution. So p of negative 1/2 is equal to 5 over 2. If we look at our last example, we have p of x is equal to 5x squared plus 9x plus 3 for x is equal to 1/5. So that 1/5 will go on the outside. The 5, the 9, and the 3 will go on the right of our little box. The 5 drops down. 5 times 1/5 is 1. 9 plus 1 is 10. 10 times 1/5 is 10 over 5, which is 2. And 3 plus 2 is 5. So our remainder of 5 is p of 1/5 is equal to 5.